This is something where you feel the difference immediately. They come back home and they text in English, they speak to their spouses in English. Once you reprogram your brain in this way, you can't stop yourself.
I've never heard of any school doing that, to be honest.
Christmas party, Halloween party, networking, mystery stories. Whoever comes to any of our events, they say, this is how I want to learn English.
Wait, there are no semesters. So how long does the course last then?
They want to mix business and general. A course for psychologists, English for pilots who want to do their job in English.
That's not all.
That's not all. I'm sorry,
Let's
there's
move on.
so much stuff. Oh my gosh. So basically, we've decided to record a podcast, and it has been decided by so many people in the school that I can't even count, because we, as always, we come up with new ideas, and a lot of our ideas have to do with students not using English enough in their lives.
That's right.
Classes are never enough, right? So what we try to do is we organize events, we have those immersion courses, intensive weekends with English, and now it's the podcast because we very often notice that there is missing content out there in English, in understandable English for people who don't always understand native speakers. And so we want to do it because we want to teach about how to learn English. We want to talk about interesting case studies. We want to talk about learning strategies and problems that people normally come across, because people come across a lot of problems. And after all these years of teaching and running a school, we can all agree that there's not enough progress in the area of gaining new skills.
Let me just interrupt you by saying that you can listen to our podcast on both YouTube and Spotify. And on Spotify, it's without any video, but on YouTube, you will have video together with the subtitles. So if you are ever lost, you can always, read the subtitles.
Exactly.
So if you, cannot keep up with what we are saying.
Exactly.
And so who is this podcast for, and who are our students?
All right. So we teach basically everyone at this point, right? We teach kids from age 7. We teach teens, we teach adults. And I would say that the biggest proportion of students would be within ages 25 to 40, around that. But we have seniors too, right? So we do not close the door.
We don't discriminate. We teach absolutely everyone.
Exactly. And we are absolutely open to neurodivergent students. We love those as well. So we teach absolutely everyone, every level. And we want those students to have something to listen to, but not only students. I think that everybody's going to find it useful. Anybody who likes to listen to good podcasts, anybody who likes to gain knowledge is going to find something here, because there are lots of people who just don't know anything about how to learn a language. We know that very well because we keep having new students who don't know how to start and who don't know what to do about, not having that progress. So basically, it's for everyone, right? I'm not sure it's for maybe primary school students, maybe
The content would not be as interesting for them.
Exactly.
Not now, not yet. Who knows, maybe in the future. So what will the episodes be about? So you mentioned some case studies and the teacher. So who will we invite here?
So basically, we're inviting most of all teachers, because we have excellent teachers in the school. A lot of them are psychologists. A lot of them have different interests outside of teaching, and they always have something good to say. And because we all know that one teacher will never be able to cater for the needs of everyone, we want to be sure that we have teachers of different kinds, because what we do in our school is we always have this initial meeting first to get to know the student, their needs, and their personality, which gives us the possibility to match them to the right teacher. So we are inviting teachers who specialize in different areas like language barrier, neurodiversity, coaching, very different ones. I'd rather not disclose all of it,
But you'll see. Just keep on watching.
Exactly. But also people from outside, right? So we're going to speak to different teachers from the market, just to verify if they actually agree with the ways we see teaching, right? And the ways that we see learning should take place. So teachers, but also different people. We are going to invite some students. We are going to invite some people from outside who deal with completely different things. So there's basically a lot of ideas about who's going to be in those next episodes. Some of the episodes will be directed at very specific problems. For example, language barrier, because that's a huge problem for people. But we also have some general ideas as well. I'd rather not disclose too much, so
stay tuned. You'll see. Okay, you've mentioned initial meetings. So can you tell us how does the school do it? What's different?
So basically, we don't want to give anybody a grammar test that they just fill out, because grammar is not going to show us the real level of a person. Plus, people want to use English in an oral form. So if we have that grammar test, we are going to know the writing skills, but maybe 50% of students say they don't want to learn any grammar and writing. So what would we need it for, right? So rather than this, we organize a meeting face-to-face with somebody where we see their body language, where we see how they react to questions. These meetings are run in English, so we get to know the people, their needs. They tell us a bit about what they struggle with and what has always been the problem. And thanks to this, we know how to handle this. We can get ready for those first lessons, and we can adjust the teacher to that personality type and to the problem that the person faces, right? So it's very, very important. I even got a phone call from a student this week. This is a student I had this initial meeting with months ago. And in the end, he decided to go in another direction and have classes somewhere else. And now he calls me and says, no. I'm sorry, I missed your email after that meeting, the email where you sent me all the information you wrote down during the meeting. And my jaw simply dropped. I had no idea you were typing so much during this meeting. And the level of precision and how much information you gained during such a short meeting is just amazing. So he says that he doesn't care who's going to teach him, because if the school's approach is so detailed at the beginning and we care about all these things we write in those documents, then it must be good.
Do they have any requirements? Who are they looking for in a teacher?
Very often they look for people with experience, people who explain things clearly, for people who have a sense of humor, for people with good personalities. I think this is the key.
Personality.
And this is something you can't really explain, but they just want to feel comfortable in class. So the vibe is crucial. If you don't make the right match, forget it. I don't think it's going to work in the long run. Even if the person is super professional, all good, but if that vibe is not there, sooner or later, the student may lose motivation, for example, or the cooperation is not going to be as successful.
So what happens when you see that the vibe is not there?
Well, basically what we do is we see that student and we go through the whole list of teachers, and then we just know which ones are the right ones.
We know them.
So that's what you have to do. Sometimes the student says, I have no idea what kind of teacher I want to have, because we ask them, right, in those initial meetings. And then to help them a little, we ask additional questions like, okay, so would you prefer a female or a male teacher? Would you prefer a certain nationality or personality type? Do you feel better with very energetic or very calm people? But what I can say as well is sometimes a mistake happens. We are not 100% accurate. So I remember it was like 2-3 months ago, I think. I matched a student to a teacher. The first class took place. I contacted that student afterwards. And she says this, I've been struggling to write down for the whole day because the teacher was perfectly prepared. She did everything so well. And, she was smiling. She was so energetic. It's just that, and then she writes, but please don't tell her that because I don't want to hurt her feelings. Yeah. It's just that she has too much energy for me. So I need someone very calm. And she says, at the time I had the initial meeting, I didn't know that. So it took that first lesson for her to realize that this would be just too much for her in the long run. So I remember then I was talking to that teacher and she was like, yes, of course I understand. I said, yes, but I need to tell you that because I believe you deserve to know. It's just that the student asked me not to really tell you the reason.
It's not you, it's me,
Exactly. So, but she said, no, I need to know because she says, if I don't know, how will I improve? And I said, well, it's nothing you improve. It's just your personality. So certain people will just not be a good match for you, They
wouldn't click. So you're saying that there is no perfect teacher for everyone?
No. Back when I was starting, when was that? Oh gosh, 20 years ago.
How many years ago?
20. 20 years ago.
So much experience, so much experience.
So much, exactly. But yeah, well, at the beginning, I was doing it on my own. But then later on, when I was hiring the first teachers, I thought, no, everybody has to do things just like me. Because, well, if I hire these teachers, it must be exactly the same. And so the first 3, 4, 5, even 10 teachers, that was the thought, you know? But then I realized when those initial meetings took place that, oh my gosh, I don't think I would be a good match for this person, you know? Like, I just don't think there is this vibe here, you know? And so that's when I realized. And then I saw that, you know, certain people are more open about saying what kind of teacher they want to have. And so you just learn. You know, you go on and you learn, and then it turns out that basically they want to have different types of teachers. I'm not a man, so, well, nothing I can do about that. So if somebody wants to learn with a man, what is there to be done about it, right? Then also, what comes up very often is age. My observation is that kids, especially elementary school kids, they like young teachers. You know, a young teacher for them is like 20, 25, I suppose, you know. A 30-year-old person is already old, you know.
Would they be able to tell, to be honest, if someone is 25 or 30?
I don't know, but you know, a lot depends on the sense of humor of a person, I think, as well, you know. Like, they like somebody fun, right? And then there's a group of students who will say, I want someone with experience. And then I say, okay, so what does it mean to you? Does it mean a person with 20 years of experience or 2 years of experience? Because in teaching, you know, I mean, a 2-year experience period, I don't think it's very little. You can have so many students during 2 years and you can be very successful as a teacher. So I wouldn't say a person with 2 years of experience is not experienced, you know?
That's right, that's right.
So it depends, you know, as always it depends. But, you know, what we like to say in AKN is that we like this individual approach, but then everybody says that. And so if everybody says that, in the end, nobody understands what our individual approach.
Right, so we've got initial meetings, right? You mentioned a couple of things that we organize apart from regular classes. What are those things then?
Yeah, so what we want is for students to use English freely, as much as they can. So
listen to the podcast, please.
Exactly. So what we do is we do events, Christmas party, Halloween party at school, right? We just gather up, we wear beautiful costumes. Beautiful or less beautiful, depends, right? But we just do fun stuff then. We do networking so that people get to know each other. We do mystery stories where they are detectives and they have to find who was killed, for example. We do charades. We don't sing, but I think it's something we should consider.
Not yet.
Not yet, exactly. So these are the Christmas and Halloween parties where people simply mingle. We make sure nobody just sits in a corner and doesn't do anything. There's lots of speaking. There's lots going on. We decorate gingerbread houses, right? Then we have immersions. These are full 2 days of speaking in English, right? So it's Saturday, Sundays, 8 hours each day. And what happens then is we cook. We go out to restaurants. We have classes, obviously. It's not only, you know, play. We eat, obviously. We have group projects. We have native speakers, speed dating with native speakers, where we put a student in a room and we say, you have to stay there for 15 minutes and just talk to the person who's there. Either online, because we also work with teachers who live abroad, or somebody who's just there, live. These programs are amazing, and everybody who has been to immersion says that after one full day, they come back home and they text in English, they speak to their spouses in English, just because they can't turn it off. I mean, once you reprogram your brain in this way, you can't stop yourself. So immersions, then we have meetups.
Sorry, just like one thing. So you're saying that because of the length, because how long it lasts, right? Because
Exactly.
It takes 8 hours both days, right? Saturday and Sundays.
Absolutely.
And how often do we organize them?
So basically now we have slowed down a little.
No, we are gathering resources, you know, let's say.
We have slowed down because we're introducing so many new things all the time that there's simply not enough time. So it used to be once a month. Now it depends on the influx of students, because some students already know about it and they are regulars. And so if we have requests to organize it, we just do it. The next one is in March. Basically, the initial plan is to do it every quarter. Right? And yes, this is something where you feel the difference immediately. Because you're not going to feel a difference if you have 2 hours of English a week. I mean, in Poland, there's this thing which is incomprehensible to me. People believe that with 1 hour of English a week is a regular course, 2 hours a week is an intensive course. I do not understand why 2 hours in the whole week would be called intensive, because it's not intensive at all.
Let's talk about what we should do between classes. But I would like to come back also to the topic of events, because you mentioned, so we do have immersion.
Yeah.
What else?
We have meetups. Once a month, we have a 2-hour meeting. It's always on Saturday, 10 o'clock, and Łukasz from the team runs it. We meet in different cafes around Warsaw. Sometimes when the weather allows, it's outside. Even at the rooftop, like it's so cool. And then they just have a topic that they select beforehand. They are sent materials, videos, articles, and then they're supposed to talk about it for 2 hours. We do not allow more than 6 people in a meetup because we want to be sure that everybody has room to speak. What happens then is, normally they don't speak about this topic for 2 hours. They just basically navigate through other topics, but it's all super cool, and we have regulars there as well. And it also allows you to just speak in a different setting. You never know everybody that's coming, because it always differs at least a bit. So we have certain people that will come all the time and certain people that will be new, right? And so, but it's developing, it's growing. So that's a very popular one. Then we've got phone calls, 15-minute phone calls. So because people are very busy, it's Warsaw, right? And it's the 21st century. People have no time to study. So if they have 1 hour a week, which is a standard, right? What we say is you need to have this additional, these additional occasions to use the language. So then we set up 15, 20, 25, 30-minute phone calls, 2, 3, 4 times a week, depending on the student. We just call them at this indicated time and we speak. We could do small talk. I revise vocabulary with my students.
So you participate in them as well?
Of course. I'm saying hello to my student Edyta here, my student Magda. Yes, right now I'm doing this with these two. And so what we do is we revise vocabulary. We even do grammar. You can do anything there, whatever you want. You can talk about what's happening in your life. That depends on a particular student, what their needs are, what their goals are. But it's very useful because if you practice here, those muscles, the apparatus here, that makes a difference in comparison to only doing it once a week. Because let's face it, who has a possibility to actually use English freely with somebody outside of the classes? Most people don't, right?
This is the issue, right? So we do not speak enough. So let me sum it up. So we've got immersions, which is the biggest project, right? 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Meetups on Saturdays, lasting 2 hours. And for busy people, 15-minute phone calls.
Right. That's not all.
That's not all.
That's not all. I'm sorry, there's so much stuff. Oh my gosh. What else? We've got Speaking Pulse. So this is a program dedicated to students who feel they want to speak more outside of the classes. So what we do is we match students of the same level with similar personality types, and we ask them to contact each other on a regular basis. They get a coordinator from the school. And this product is free of charge, which is such a nice thing, I think. And it works. I can tell you it works because I tried it on myself like 2 years. Oh, it was already 2 years ago, I think, or 3 even, and it worked perfectly. So what I was doing is I was practicing my Spanish with another girl. And even though her level wasn't the same as mine, we managed, and we saw a huge difference because we were doing it 3 to 4 times per week for 20 minutes. So if you do that, and on top of this you have some classes, you see the difference, So this is really cool. We ask students to arrange those talks minimum twice a week. But it's up to them. How much they do it, how often, for how long.
I've never heard of any school doing that, to be honest. It sounds like something very, innovative.
It is. And, what we try to do is we try to really encourage them to use English as much as they can, not only in class, because, come on, 1-2 hours a week, what is that? I don't want to say it's a mistake. It's just that it's not going to give you the progress you need, right? So we really pay attention to that. What else do we have? We've got coaching in English. So Łukasz, our teacher, the one who runs meetups, he is a coach, a certified coach. So we offer coaching sessions in English, 2 in 1. There you go. We also have psychological sessions in English with Anya, a psychologist from our school. So again, 2 in 1. We've got, what else do we have? Oh my gosh.
We definitely prepare for all the exams, right?
Exactly, all exams. So basically we teach everyone with any needs. That's fine. We have English for pilots because one of our teachers is a pilot, and that is a huge niche on the market. Then we've got one, now we're introducing this preparation to the exam for military. People who train to be in military, they have to pass this exam, which is very difficult for them. So the passing grade is quite low. And so we also have a teacher who specializes in this, and therefore we have a course dedicated to that. We also have, what's very important, a course dedicated to teaching how to learn. Very
Teaching
crucial.
how to learn. Let me think about it. All right. So I should sign up if I want to learn how to learn.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because it turns out people don't really know that, and more and more people call and they say, oh, I've done this and this and this course. There have been so many. I still haven't, made the progress I wanted. What's wrong? And so I say, okay, how do you learn vocabulary? I learn normally. I'm like, okay, exactly.
What's wrong?
But the interesting thing is you ask them how they learn and they say, I learn. And they say normally. And I say, okay, so what does it mean normally? Because normally is something else for me and for you. And so we have this course dedicated only to teaching them how to learn different strategies regarding vocabulary, grammar, different things, And this course is super, super good. And it's very well prepared because, one of our teachers, Aldona, is just, I think she lives for this, She just learns and develops herself all
She's
the time.
a star.
She's also going to be one of the episodes. So that course is very, very interesting. But what we also do is we can prepare any course you want. So a course for psychologists or psychotherapists who want to do their job in English. That's also possible. You can sign up for a course like this. So what we do is we tailor-make the course to the needs of anyone, right? And we do very often come across a student who has very untypical needs, right? And then you just have to find a way to accommodate that, right? And majority of our students say they want to mix business and general, right? Mm-hmm. There's no book for that. So we have to tailor-make everything, right?
That's true. How do I sign up then?
Okay, so to sign up, you call me or you email me. I often don't answer the calls because I have a lot of meetings, but I call back. Mm-hmm. So what happens is we talk, we set up the initial meeting. The initial meeting takes up to 1 hour, depends on the student as well. And after that meeting, the student receives a document in which we type everything we hear regarding the needs, the level, everything, right? And then we know a lot about the student, so we can match them to the right teacher. And normally it takes about a week from the initial meeting to the start of the course. And our school is very, very untypical because we don't have semesters, we don't have a contract like a regular school for a given period of time. So it's
wait, there are no semesters. So how long does the course last then?
As long as a person needs, even, why not? I mean, honestly, if somebody asks me how long I have been learning English, I always count from today back to when I was 6 years old. And they're like, what do you mean? You're still learning? Well, hello, I'm not a native speaker. I can't be a native speaker. So I will always have to work on my skills because otherwise I'm just going to, lose everything. No, but it's very difficult to maintain the level if it's high.
Maintaining the level, this is the thing, right? So
Exactly.
Some students, came to me and they said, Marta, progress is one thing, but I don't want to lose what I've learned already.
Exactly.
And it's a struggle. It
is a struggle. And so in those initial meetings, we always say, and after the meeting, the people always get this beautifully prepared PDF with different resources they can use on their own between the lessons. It's all divided regarding the levels. And there are some videos, there's things to read, things to listen to. Now we will have to add our podcast there,
The link will be there. So maybe you can tell us something about the notes. Mm-hmm. So what are our notes? Because that's something that, I've never encountered before.
Yeah, I think that it doesn't exist, And it's so interesting that after so many years, I don't think other schools came up with it, which is great. So basically what we do is we run a Google Doc. As I mentioned in this very first meeting, what we do is we prepare these notes. So this is the Google Doc for a given student, say Jan Kowalski. And so that same Jan Kowalski is going to work with this Google Doc until the end of the course with us, meaning the teacher is going to receive the Google Doc with all this information so they can learn about the student and prepare their first lesson. And then as the lessons take place, teachers, they type during those lessons. And so the student can actually focus on speaking, which is basically what they want, right? And so they are shocked after the first lesson because they say, oh, I brought a notebook. It turns out it's not even needed. I spoke so much. We've covered so much because they didn't have to focus on the writing. So what does the teacher write? The teacher has a little lesson plan in there, meaning all those things they want to do, all those materials they use are pasted there, unless it's a face-to-face lesson. Then, of course, paper materials are also provided. Homework is there.
Homework. We'll talk about it. Is it necessary? But yes, you're right. So, for example, some of my students, they in the middle of the class, they say, Marta, I need this word. Put it down. You know, I want it in my notes. And I'm like, of course, it's already there. You know, but they know what to expect, and this works, right? Because they know what to learn. They know the words. They know the homework is there, and they know it will be verified next class.
And they can't lose it. You know, what's crucial is it's not on a piece of paper. It's not in an email they will delete. It's just there on our cloud, so that it's never going to be deleted. But those two elements that they are mostly excited about. So since we run all those classes in English, we try not to use any Polish at all. Any words could come up in a conversation. You never know which ones. So the material you prepare for the lesson is one thing, but you don't know what words will be missing for the student. And so whenever that happens, you just type in those words, you know, so the student actually gets what he's missing in a regular conversation on top of whatever you have prepared, right? And also when you hear a student make a mistake, you type it in Polish, and their task is to translate it back into English, because this way they don't look at the mistake they made in English. A lot of them are visual, so it would be difficult, but they have to translate. And so you actually create homework during the lesson. I mean, no better solution,
dream came true.
Yes.
What about this homework? Is it necessary? Like, how much time should we spend in between classes, and what should we do?
You know, sky's the limit. What can I say? You know, I mean, learning myself, like I'm learning Spanish, right? And sorry, I mean, I'm a teacher. Yes, you will say that, you know, you're a teacher, so you're different than me or something. But, well, there are certain things you can't jump over, you know? Either you spend time with the language on a regular basis, or you're just not going to make that progress. As simple as that. So what I say to students is, do not spend 3 hours a day, because very often they're excited at the beginning. Like, yeah, 3 hours a day, I have a lot of time. Or if we ask, how much homework do you want? As much as you want to send me.
During the initial meeting, they have to tell us how much time they have every day, right? Yeah. So later on, you can say, hello, here it's written, 1 hour a day.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, Marta, but it's so difficult right now. So
Life verifies everything. So I'd rather they started with 15 minutes a day, but I always say, rather than doing 3 hours on a Sunday, which is your day off, please do 15 minutes a day, because you will have a lot more progress this way. You know, you will experience that progress, because otherwise, I mean, come on, doing it once a week makes no sense. There's very little progress you can make with 1 hour a week if you're at a B2 level, which is a lot of the students we have. Unfortunately, the higher the level, the more time you have and effort you have to invest, right?
But is it investing? Because I spoke to my student like once, and she told me she was at this B2 level, and she admitted to me that she still watches Netflix with Polish subtitles. And I told her, like, why do you use Polish subtitles? Like, switch them to English. She was afraid she wouldn't understand. But she did. And after the first episode, she said, yeah, you were right.
Exactly. Very often it's just fear. You know, they are not prepared for it mentally. So they need a proper guide. What I always like to say is that, you know, they have to put in the work, not us. I mean, yes, we are teaching, yes, we are preparing and everything else, but we will not learn for them. So I say, listen, what I can say is things from my experience. I've been teaching for a long time. I've seen a lot of students. I learn myself, so I know what it means for me to do Quizlet every day, because I do my Quizlet for 7 minutes a day. 7 minutes. As long as it's in your routine, it's not going to hurt you. You know, you're not going to feel like it's painful. But then I have a problem with grammar. But okay, that's a topic for another day.
Next week. So it's about finding some time, right? Those 7 minutes, and you know, excuse of saying, maybe not excuse, but some of them are saying that they don't have time.
Yeah.
But, see, this is the thing, that Netflix, you can simply change the subtitles to English, right? You can listen to our podcast.
Exactly.
You can find time for Quizlet, on the commute, when you wait for someone. Like, it's
so easy these days.
Adding those hours of
Absolutely.
work, right? Just like replacing some things. Inviting English to your life, I would say.
But that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to explain this to them, and we try to show them that English can actually be fun. It doesn't have to be a duty they don't like, because whoever comes to any of our events, they say, this is how I want to learn English. So we had Magda at the last Christmas party. She's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly the way to learn English for me. Next day, I get an email from her. Please send me the calendar of the next events for the next 3 months. Like, oh my gosh. So she already signed up for immersion, for everything we have, basically. And she says, as long as I know in advance, I can adjust my calendar and just be present. But you see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. She will like English, because if English is served to her the way she likes, she's going to have a completely different attitude in her classes. So she says now she understands why she needs homework, why she needs her teacher to correct her mistakes.
Right.
Because she says, oh yeah, I saw some of those people spoke such good English at the event. I want to be like them.
Motivating.
So it's motivating, yeah.
By the way, the calendar is on our website.
Yeah.
And we update it. So all the future events, we have planned are already there. Agnieszka, I do have one last question. Why do you do it? Why do you run a language school? What's your motivation? What does it give you?
That's a very good question, Marta, I mean, the first thing that came to mind is because I'm crazy. But some people that know me probably think that, But honestly speaking, I've always been bored at school during my language classes. There was not enough speaking. The books were boring. I just hated all these exercises. I liked them, but I didn't have any possibility to use the knowledge, like just to basically, express myself. And so when I was starting the school, I had so many more ideas. Oh my gosh. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. But, I have a feeling that if we show people that they can actually use that knowledge out there, with us, with other students, then they won't be afraid in a business meeting. They won't be afraid on holiday. They won't ask their spouse to speak for them on holiday, this is a disaster. My students have a ban, to do that. I'm like, if you travel with your family, you need to order at a restaurant. So what I'm trying to say is to show them that English actually is for them to be used, and they can do it. They just have to have the right approach. They need the right tools, which very often they need to receive from us, and then they will see it. It's all possible for everyone, regardless of your age, regardless of your, position. You just have to want to, and most of them want to do it more if they do those things outside of the classes, because then they enjoy it, So it's about attitude. So a very positive attitude towards my work, because there's always something changing. There's always something happening. And our school is just fun, I think, because, we have all these additional things. It's not only classes. It never gets boring. It's never repetitive, So yeah.
There is something for everyone, basically.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. And
Thank you
hope
very much.
to see you once again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.